We will start by the beginning of this session. So even if you have never configured or look at reinforcements, you will have where to start. So at first you will look at general settings. Okay. So in general settings, you can of course put the reinforcement which is hosted by Revit or not. You can round value of the reinforcement or rebar or sheet fabric. And you can ask if by default you want in the tag to have all reinforcement tag or not. Okay, you can choose in settings the area of reinforcement, the value and the settings. And take care because this comes from your template. Because at start I do this screenshot with English, with Revit in English, but with my template. You know everyone that it's important because if you want to work, you have your template. And I do the print screen and I look and it was in French. So take care of something. Sometimes there is something in the templates who belong. And after the same for pass area. And at the end, if you are varying rebar set, you can choose the numeric methods. So it's here. So once you have done that, what you will do at first, you will edit your rebar shape to put a little picture in it. So you have the display at the end of the final drawing. Okay. By default, all the elements as a cover. Okay. So first you will set your rebar cover settings. So you can set here like it's like Eurocode in naming, but you can just say 5 centimeters. Or here it's a reinforcement class. And once you have done all this, after you can go to cover and on cover, here in properties of the element, if I go a little bit upper, you have the cover for here it's top face, bottom and other face, and bottom it's not display because you have another properties is you can set it by face, and when you click on cover, you have this little bar will come on top of Revit, and after you can select the entire element with this or only a face. If for example there is water but only on one side, so there will be not the same cover. Once you've done that, you want to come, for example, from theoretical reinforcement to real rebar. So you can go to eraser, so you can send all the file or some part of the file. And for the same Revit file, for example, for the seismic analysis, I send all the building. But when I want to analyze the reinforcement I need in my slab, I send only my slab because it's easier to have this kind of result if you have not all the building. And so you can have in the package result of Revit coming from multiple software and multiple file. Okay. So here this is only in robot. In robots can be another, but here you have detailed reinforced elements, so you can create your beam, slab, column. And then if you want, of course you can edit and print a PDF of these shop drawings. But if you want, you can come back to, and after you have real 3D reinforcement in Revit. Okay. So maybe some of you were there last year. So I have a full class on this. So here I will keep it short. Okay. Just for those who don't know, they can go on AU classes of last year. It's in Omnix era in YouTube channel. Okay. So you send all the elements, and after you can do analysis of different elements. So here I have the reinforcement, and here I select to go to real beam, and so it imports the beam. Here, so the FEM will come from the general analysis, of course. But if you want, if you have a simple beam, there is another option you will see after, which you just have to put your loads, and it will create the same. Okay, but you have to know the loads, but sometimes it can be... So here, if you want to come back, you can update, and here you will have the reinforcement in Revit with the same size. The only thing you have to take care, if you have multiple beams, beams continuous have to be one beam, because if not, it will create two instances and come back 2 times the reinforcement. I hope it will be fixed, but for now, it's like this, so if it's happened. So after you can tag and so on, but I won't detail too much because I have some other element to show you. So other solutions, so this is more this element for building. You can say classic column, classic beam, okay? If you are more in civil construction, what you can do is quite the same. So I choose the same file, but I could have changed. Next year I will change. And here, instead of do the calculation of detail reinforcement, you will just have the needed reinforcement. And then you can come back in Revit and see them in Revit, okay? And after, you can put manually or with some extension your reinforcement. I will speak 2 minutes about extension. Some of you knows, but some of you, it's a case of some of my customer or reseller, don't know where they are now because they have moved from different paths. And now, if you want to have them, it's in update and extension on your Autodesk account. And after you will see it's called simply Revit extension for Autodesk Revit, in case you don't know where you are. And after you have this, so here you can see you have a beam, column, peel caps, retain wall, etc. walls. And when you've done this, if you have done what I've done previously, here you will have the theoretical reinforcement to come from RSA. Okay? And here it's what I have chosen is the parameter. And as you understand, if it's red, I don't want pet enough, and if it's green, it's fine. And after you execute, and you can have that. And here you can save this as template if needed. If you have a lot of beams, and you can select all together if you want. So maybe some of you have already know this, but just for you to see where are the elements, here I do the calculation of theoretical reinforcement according to Eurocode in British Standard annexes. So it's Eurocode 2 plus BS. And so I have my result. So I save. Don't forget to save, because sometimes you want to do a fast video and you don't save and say, I have no result. But you have colleagues say, do you have save? I say no. And after you just update. So you will see it on the analytical element. So here it's only my analytical element. And you have the package result here. And if I look only at the beams and the column, I have this result. And so after I can launch my extension to put reinforcement in it. So I have a multiple question, but it's really easy to use. Don't need training at all for this. Okay. So this is, if you have something little bit weird, you can come. And so when you put even manually, you can display the theoretical reinforcement needed and what you put really in place. So it's another method than doing on the paper. The drafter explain what you want. Or it can be something in plus to check for you and your drafter. So when after you want to draw it by your own reinforcement, you can now use for 2 versions, any plan, any section, elevation, or rebar. So it was not the case before. And you can select the placement of the rebar, if it's in the plane, normal to the plane, or perpendicular to cover, or to cover. And you will have globally 2 choices. You will have a rebar shape browser, which is what we see here. Or this is not what you need. You need another, and you just sketch, and that's you see here. And when you sketch, and in fact you sketch the same as what was created in the element, it look and it understands that it's a classic shape. There is a lot of improvement in the constraint. In the past, there was a small table which was really not clear at all, with ID, but you don't know which were ID. Now it's really easier. It's like every part of Revit, and you have grips. You can put distance, and this distance become a constraint. So after, when you have done one, in fact, you have to know in the rebar set option if it's fixed number, maximum number spacing, number with spacing, or minimum clearance. And since when you start drawing, you choose a formwork, column, beam, it will populate the element and until the cover, okay? And after you can have a regular set or varying rebar set. So for those who have never done, so you will select reinforcement. Here I will select my shape. Okay, and here I will be not in the place but like this because I want to set to the cover. So here to be vertical. So I put once, or I can change before, but it's just to explain. And after I set the distance, I validate, for example. And after, instead of single, I will choose maximum distance. And after you have grips, so it's easy to change the value by numbering at the top or with grips. And of course, after you can do a symmetry, a copy, what you need. There is some properties here. So the downing rebar are classic. At the top, there will be a little angle at the end. So here I sketch it. When you do like this and you are on the cover, by default, it creates a constraint. And when you validate, here you look, you see it's 25. He understands that it was 25. So I can say I want 2 or 3. 3, I think. And after I have 3 bars. Okay. So it's now I use it for some time and it's very easy to use. So now this distance I want to be always the same. So I put the distance I want, I validate. And since it's the bottom of the beam, if I change the beam, my rebar will move. Okay. So the stirrup will move and the length will move. I change from one side to another side and everything is moved. But as you know, it's not a surprise, we are in beam. Up. Yeah. So now it's for planar and wire fabric reinforcement. So you will have access to this element. So we'll have IRA, pass, fabric IRA, and fabric sheet. The difference between these two, fabric sheet, you put it one by one, and fabric IRA, you select a slab, for example, and after you say where you want fabric sheet, and it will put it automatically. So, and you will see that it's dynamic. It means that if you move, for example, the windows, the reinforcement will update automatically, okay? Because it's linked to the different faces, I would say element of the wall and of the windows. So here I choose the entire wall, but I can split if I not have the same reinforcement. That's why you have to sketch. And after, if I move a windows, it's update. Okay. When you do like that, it's you can say it's one block, but after you can explode a little bit. And when you explode, when you select, you have every part. It's not part, but part, classic part, you know. And after you can change the value you want, because you see you don't want to put other reinforcement, so it goes up like this. So you can change in every range. Now it's easy when you select, you see what you can change with little grips. And after you can do what you want. Oops. Yeah. So from the same spirit, of course, if you are needed, you can import the theoretical reinforcement needed, okay, from the same way, but it will be a planar element, not a curve, okay. And after you can put your wire fabric, put the theoretical element and show if it's match or if there are some problems. And after you can just do your plan or edit it both for if you have a control office or something you want to control. What is not hidden but not so logical is a symbol is in symbol, but small fabric at the end. So sometimes I lose it and just have to remember where it is. And after, of course, you will do schedule. And in schedule, you will have the reinforcement. You don't see my... Here you have what will be in the field, and here what you have to order. Okay. And if you're good, numbers are close, but if you're not so good like me here, there's a big difference. So here I proceed to the same. So here after I change my mind, so I take only a small robot file only with the slab here. You see there is only the slab and the support of the slab. So it's because it gives better result for what I need, in fact, because I don't have all the rigidity of all stairs. So here I do the Eurocode 2 post-treatment. So I have the needed reinforcement. And once you have this, you can come back to the element. The thing is, you will send the analytical element, and when you put reinforcement, you will put reinforcement on the real slab, so you can have some centimeters, because you know, if you remember last year I explained you that to calculate this building, you will have to simplify the element to align on reference plan, on axis, and so you can give small difference. But the main idea is here, and it's very useful. Of course, if the slab is too easy, maybe you don't need. Okay. And here, so here you can display, and once you have display, you will choose your area. So here you select the slab you want to, or the wall you want to put reinforcement in it. And here you have the wire fabric, here. After you can choose the way, okay? And once you validate, of course, it will be cut due to the selection. Okay, you can choose if it's up, down, and after you validate. And after you can display all rebar for wire fabric, which is not my case, I don't like this. So you can display a more symbolic rebar and with a classic tag convention. But there is a lot, no, in fact, not a lot, free by default in Revit. But after, since it's a family, you can edit and put what you want. If you don't have any parameter, you can add parameter. You know Revit, it's a word in it. And after you will create your wire fabric quantities. Okay. So same for planar reinforcement, and you can mix rebar, of course, with reinforcement of wall. And after, what is nice is you will work in the 2D, in 2 view, and you can adjust from it. And after, you can see in 3D if it's matched. For example, this wall will be done before, so I can adjust. And you have grip at the end, so it means that if you ungrip, the last reinforcement is not in. And here, for example, I have soil from this part, so I have to do some reinforcement, which is not standard. Take care to the view, in fact, because here you see I changed the view to view my reinforcement correctly, but it's classic mistake, we can say. And after, you can adjust, because I want to put them on top of the other. And after, you can do, for example, for the wall, with wire fabric. And so you can create your own wire fabric, for example, if it's big project, and you can adjust your element. And there is quite all wire fabric standard across, I would say the world, but maybe main wire fabric. Okay. So now if I move to reinforcement concrete in Revit, now what we have in plus since, I would say, 2 years, it's a reinforcement connector. So for big project, you will stop your reinforcement and put this in plus. So of course it's family based, so you can adjust, modify. If it's not this one but another constructor, you can edit yourself. You can ask the man who do this to create their own family, but sometimes you have to do it for now. And after, you can have all possibility to put the number on it. So here you will see. So you can put 2 reinforcements and put after the coupler, or you can put 1 reinforcement, put the coupler at the top, and after put the other bar. 2 are possible. So here you can see. And after, for example, if you have stairs, you can do really what you want, and put not start, but start in a wall or something like that, to really think how it will be built step by step, include reinforcement. So, I think it's the same. Okay. No, it was not the same. Okay, this one. So numbering and partition. So after, you will be able, of course, to choose your numbering and partition. So partition is, for example, I want to have 1 to 8 as numbering of reinforcement at the first level, and I want to have 10 to 100 at the second level. So this is how we will do partitioning. And of course, after, we will have this on schedule and in the shop drawings. So here, maybe the resolution. Here you can select. Here you have the distance ABOC of the reinforcement. And after, in general reinforcement, you can round. And it's important because Revit will put the same number for exactly the same reinforcement rounded. Because sometimes if you do a little bit too fast, you have 1 meter and 1 meter 0.001. For Revit, it's not the same. So you have to round at one time. And when you round, after, you have the element. And after, you can just select, not all, only reinforcement. And after, you see here, with a filter, you have partition. So A, first column, second column, as first date, second day. And here you can select and assign. So it's really easy to create partition once you have done the element. Something I haven't said, reinforcement is part of the concrete. It means if you copy a column with its reinforcement, it will copy with the reinforcement. Okay, so it can create templates of reinforcement. And when you've done that, you can here, after change, or see a rebar number in Revit. Okay, so here, of course, if you change, there is some software on reinforcement that you can change in the middle of the construction. But here it's not the case. You can switch if you see at the end on shop drawings it was not so clear. You can switch or change cutting or change the value. Okay, so schedule and shop drawings. So you will have rebar notation. I think multiple rebar notation exists for about 4 years. In the past, it was individually, so you can't manage to do this, for example, 4 years ago in Revit. Now you can. So when you select, you have the repartition. And after, everything is a family. So this is a family, this is a family, and this is a family. So you can have this, you can have this, depending on the style you want. And same for rebar. Here, only first, last. The definition of the coupler. Here, the section of the rebar at the bottom. Here, my slab and the reference was the slab. So you can show all, show first, last, show middle, and select some you want to show, for example. So it's really open. And after, you will do what we have, I would say always do, but some shop drawings with the value. And after in cut or something element, you have other possibility to explain what will be the reinforcement from a vertical point of view. And of course, you can do a 3D view, which is always useful to understand. I think maybe if you come to this, what will change, it means that now usually they put to the crown, but maybe now they will take care to the way we have, because if we think to a solution, if they don't care, you have, for example, the two main column like this, but they put it like this, you have solved after, you will see with Navisworks or clash detection, but if they don't put the reinforcement the way you have, it will be an issue. So after you can do a construction plan to explain that this is will be on site, and only this will be done at the firm. And after they will put like this, classic view. After you can do, of course, filter. You can do filter in 2D and 3D, of course, and on diameter, on parameter, which new parameter you have, but you are in Revit with classic family and classic element. It's not something weird. Okay. So if you want to have, you don't know how to tag here, you will go and annotate at the last part, and here you will select. So that's why it's important, if you have free rebar at the bottom, to create the free rebar with the option free. If you create 111, when you will annotate, it will be the same in 2D, in 3D, but when you will put your tag, it will show 1. Okay. And here after you can put the value and all you need to explain. And I prefer to show all, but some prefer to show first, last, or selected. So you can select once, none, and after you can finish. And sometimes when you want to edit the family, it's not so easy to find where they are. And so, because it's family in family, and so usually what I do, I search for the naming of the element, because you can't edit directly on the element. You can change the type, but not all the elements in the direct selected, like here, you see. Even if you edit type, you won't have access to all. But you will see when you will be in it. So after, you have to create schedule. So you will grouping, storing, filtering, like classic schedule. Grouping rebar by host, beam 1, beam 2, etc. And you will have the shape picture include, if you have put it, of course. So what I show you, it's pure Revit, okay, no extension. Oh, see, at first it was Autodesk extension, but no add-ons, okay. After I will sell, you can do this with Sophistic, you can do this with Revit, or, okay. So here I will put the picture in the shape, okay, and load back. So in the schedule, you don't see the picture, you will see the name of the picture, but you will see the real picture when you will be on the sheet, on the plan, okay? So after you can take care maybe with your template. Here you see it's perfect, I have only one A, only one B, only one C, only one D. But if you mix some templates with different shape, here you can have 4A, 4B, and when you populate, a lot will be 0 and some will have value. And so the best is to remove from your template those you won't use, to keep only those you will use. But it's classic use of Revit, but what is strange is, I think the first time I saw two parameters who have the same value, but were not the same. Okay. So here after it's classic rebar selection. I don't want to fast my video, because after, when it will be on YouTube or etc., after it's too fast. So I prefer to speak and to explain what was not so obvious, or what was obvious when you use Revit for long times, not obvious if you use classic CAD or something like that. So after, you will do the calculation of total and do the rebar shape. Yeah, and after, it's classic to put reinforcement on your plan. Okay, so final shop drawing. It's the same principle as you know. I think the main part is to create the reinforcement. Once you've done one project, you've put your tagging the way you like, etc. After, you know, it's Revit, but to adjust the classic tagging to your needs, it can, of course, like you have done in Revit for all elements, take some time, but when you have done it once, it's on your template and it don't create some element. After, you can, of course, import from a file to another file if you are miss something, okay? And you have a classic result. Here, in Revit, you know, you can do clash detection, but not on this kind of family. So you have to go to Navisworks. I'm sorry, but I have asked to change, but so here, here it's, I think you have already seen it. Yeah, no, just once. Here I want to design the reinforcement will be the start for the column. So if you look carefully, this reinforcement will belong in the bill of material to my slab, but after I select my column because I don't want them to be along my slab, but where there will be my column, okay? And after I change the belonging of this reinforcement to my column, to my slab, okay? To my solid footing, sorry. And after you have a classic display to looks good and to explain maybe on the field if needed. And if you like the color of the real reinforcement, you can have it. It's by default, I think. Okay, and after you have classic shop drawings to do. So now I will speak to you about reinforcement with Dynamo. When will you need Dynamo? It's easy. All reinforcement I've done, after it's straight, you know. And if you have a bridge like this, it has to follow the bridge, okay? And so here you can't do with classic feature, or you have to put it one by one. So for this, you will have to download package we called Dynamo for Rebar, and I want to do it live. So here I have this shape, which is a model in place with strand shape, okay? And here I will launch my Dynamo. I just want to, it's not a very big Dynamo. It's really for you to know that it's not so complicated. So here in Dynamo Rebar, I have this, you know, and here rebar following surface because it will follow the surface, okay? Here, of course, I will select the object I want. Maybe I go a little too fast. Check. Okay. After I select the face, the face. Okay. After, after here, you select the direction, vertical or horizontal. Ideals, it's when it has to follow, it's cut automatically. Okay. So all this you find here. Who has already used Dynamo in the room? Okay. And so after you look at the ID, you select if you want stirrup or standard, the size of the rebar. So here, of course, it's what is in your project or template, you can say. And after you create your rebar by curves, because it will be curved rebar. And after you can view them as solid, because if you want to see a rebar as solid, you have to select rebar, select all entities, and go to properties in view and change, so it's not so sympathetic. And now, cross finger, I will run. Oh, it works. And so here, here you should, I think it's not so easy to work with Dynamo and Revit with this resolution. And here you see, you have rebar, and it's already in solid. And for those who don't know, if you want to them in solid, it's not here with element, it's in property. Here you have to go there in the edit and click. So for example, I think there is Dynamo script would do only this, because here, for example, you see, I have at the end to select my view. It's intraday view. For example, if I come here to the 3D copy, it's not in solid, okay? And for example, if you want to do rebar in the other way, what you have to do is to close, okay? Yes. You relaunch Dynamo. Here you will change to the other way, and you will run. Cross finger. And here you have the two-way, okay? And if you look, I have warnings, so maybe here in this way, I will idealize, oh yeah, you know, complete without warning. I think it didn't manage to follow, and you have what was done at first. I will put the 3D, and no. I know it was not done, so, but I want to do it live. So to tell that with Dynamo, you usually, because we want to show you big examples, so you will show Dynamo script like this, but you can do small Dynamo, launch once, launch again, and after, once you've done this step by step, of course, at the end you will present like me, and you will have Dynamo script like that. But you can start. It's not so complicated. After, you can do what you want with Dynamo, concrete box reader, and you can set the same method. And for this, you will have a Dynamo. We will copy the one reinforcement here to the anterior element following the shape, you know. So here you select the element. Okay, so in fact there is a lot of reinforcement. So from the same way, to create the entire project, you will launch a Dynamo script for every reinforcement. It means here force. Okay. So here you will select the curve it has to follow. So usually it's the curve of the element. After, you select what has to be copied. Sketch, and so here it's created in Dynamo and in Revit. Okay, but to do this you will need to have the package, and which is Beam for Structure rebar project. Okay, which is another package. But you see, there is a lot of possibility if you need to do this element. I think, yeah, after you have all, and after you can put filter, put element on it. And with Dynamo, usually you will see Dynamo to link some XML file with Revit, and on this, for example, the alignment come from Civil 3D, but not with direct link, with Excel export. This Excel export was read, and so if you update the alignments, all will update, including the rebar. So it's nice. So now I will talk about industry partner built on top of Revit. So there is Sophistic, Gretec, Edge Revit, PTSA Consulting, ASA, and EDAT. So I will focus on two because I found them useful. So first is the Gretec Beam Designer. It's quite the same spirit as you show between robots and the extension, but in this time they have all rebuilt the extension of their previous element called Arch on top of Revit as extension. So here you will do directly the reinforcement and the code check. Okay, you don't have to go to advanced design, come back, etc. And you can have directly, you see in Rex environment, so in Revit environment, all the results you need and the calculation notes. And so you can select one or multiple, send to this extension, have all results you need, and come back. Other solution, it's Sophistic. Two solutions, one which is close to what you saw previously and you saw in Autodesk extension, which is called reinforcement generation. We will generate automatically reinforcement based on what have been calculated. They are quite good even on slab, because you see on slab, I show you I choose manually my reinforcement. Here I've done a good job on slab too. And reinforcement detailing, it's good to find the classic local representation. For example, here, if you want a circle is nothing, but you can do it for 9 Revit out of the box. And so this has been done with this extension. And if you want here the value of the length of the reinforcement on the shop drawings, you will need to have this extension, because as you remember, in Revit, in the box, it's only a picture where it's written AB, and you have to read AB just below. So it's not so complicated to read just below, but we used to have this, so sometimes for major company it's important. And I will finish with customer story, which is ABT in Netherlands. So in fact, they have built this water station treatment, I think, with Excel, because all engineers love Excel, of course, because all engineers love calculation. Revit, Dynamo, and Sophistic extension. So they've created on Excel all parameters they need, okay, all these lengths. This has been created with Dynamo in Revit. So first in Dynamo, then in Revit. And then they will use Revit to classic distributed reinforcement, okay, following the surface, like I do, but here what's on this way. And after, for all detailing, okay, this element, they use Sophistic to generate all the drawing. And last, but I put this not to forget for you, I read it one time, but in Revit, you can have some clash, but for now, it's not supported for reinforcement. So you will need to use Navisworks to do clashes between rebar. And we have, I think, if you want to go further with this technology, to be a little more precise at what you used to do, because in the past, we put this classically with a crab, and if I tune everything to be perfect, but at the end I don't explain where I want this reinforcement, it can create clashes. So I think now we are more precise with the BIM solution, but it implies to following on the field if you want to gain with BIM. Thank you. Do you have some question? Yeah?
Basically what we have interoperability with the robot and the Revit structure. Have we validated between other software design applications like BREAKOUT, let's say?
I've not tested myself, but one of my colleagues at Autodesk have tested the import-export with Sophistic. It works the same way as a robot for theoretical reinforcement. For sub and tabs, I have no background, but I think it could work.
When we worked out in the automated reinforcement generation in the Revit live model, and we validated all three, Sophistic as well as ETABS, as well as from robot. We faced that robot have issue with it's transferring all the design calculations and results to the Revit.
Mm-hmm.
It will have a 10 to 20% of the less results compared to ETABS.
20% less reinforcement, or it means that you have 100 of beams and 20 are not populated.
The area of reinforcement we consider there was a lesser than what ETABS was giving. When we manually calculated ETABS results and the requirement, it was closely matching with the manual calculations as well. Have we get any feedback from the customer in that one?
No. Have you explained this to our support?
Yeah, basically from long time we didn't get any feedback.
Yeah? Because sometimes the reinforcement we have, I don't know if it's a long beam, but usually it comes from the deflection, because in robots we increase reinforcement due to deflection, and usually when you do the manual calculation, you don't take it to account. And I don't know if ETABS do this thing. I don't know if it's not a long beam. Usually they know, but I think you should come back to us if it's important for you, because I've done some verification, and I found the same as manually, but I won't display here. But,
And is there any consideration, kind of a example, we have an ongoing one of the project, the client they are expecting LOD 350, and LOD 350 we find that we have to give a interface connection detail of all the structural elements, reinforcement and other stuff.
Ye-
We have a steel structure, we have to give a steel plate and connection details. And if we have a column and beam structure, we should give the interface connection details of the reinforcement. How we can adopt this strategy, that what are the file size and how we can define that.
for steel, now you can do some element in Revit for plates, something like that. But at the end, if you want to really create the shop drawings, Revit won't be. I think you have some difficulties to create all you want to create with Revit, so you have to use advanced steel at the end. And there is a bidirectional link. And for reinforcement, I think 3D is nice, but you have to create 2D view to explain how it will be created. And I don't see. I think you will create the same view as you create before in Revit, because for now we don't have the NC export. Maybe in some years, and it will be the case, I think, for more precast elements, you can maybe export a NC file and all the stirrup will be created automatically. But for now, it's not the case.
Larger scale of the project, okay, and if we need to prepare the 3D reinforcement detail in it, what are the major points we have to consider to minimize the file size?
To minimize the?
File size.
In fact, what I say is you have to work with linked file for everything that you can split. It means that if you have, for example, you have a building, and in fact it's two buildings, A1, A2, so two files, and in the building there will be mechanical, no, not mechanical, there will be plumbing one file, mechanical another file, you see. And I think the maximum size will be around 50 to 100, depending on your computer. Because if you have split like this, you won't have any issue with your computer. If you go upper than 100, after you can, when you work, it can be slow, and so you have to split. You should not split. It's when you want to tag. If you are in your file, and okay, you see the element, but it's in the other file, you won't be able to tagging. So sometimes what is strange, and what I don't say, to split structure and architecture, it's in the spirit is nice, but for example, the wall and the opening belong to both, and so there is different solution for different company. Some say, okay, no, the wall belongs to the architect because there is the insulate. When you put the doors, it has to cut everything. And some other company have done some tests doing, instead of one wall with multi-layer, two walls linked. But when you put the doors in it, it shows only the main part of the wall structure in concrete usually. And so it don't give the good displaying of the I don't know depending on the size of the global wall, and it take only structural wall, and so it's not correct. So depend if the architect and the structural company are together. If it's two company, it depends of the beam maturity, because sometimes they prefer structural company to rebuild it from 2D plan, because with this method, if you work with any architect who work with Revit, who work with Archicad, who work only with AutoCAD LT or Allplan, they can all produce 2D debugging, and they think of the building the way they will build it, you know. And because they have done some tests, but it's not about functionality of the product. It's because, but it can change from country area. The architect, when he creates his building, he don't have the same way of thinking than an engineer. And so at the end, we have to modify a lot, okay, or to change a little bit. So sometimes prefer to rebuild it. And it's to have a security. And I speak mainly for France, depending of the maturity of the BIM environment. Because when you do BIM, you don't do BIM by your own, okay? But at the end, you want everything to be secure, so.
You mentioned partitioning for reinforcement. What's the difference between partitioning and assemblies? Is it better to make assemblies?
No, for reinforcement, the idea is more partitioning. Partitioning, you will be able to have numbering in it, and assembly is for everything. But if it fits your needs, you could use assembly, but you don't have, when you will launch here all the assembly on your project, I don't know, because I never test, because I never have the idea, to create assembly. And so here, no, not this one. Here, if you create assembly, I don't know if if Revit will be able to manage and display you in use, and if you change here, if it will change finally on the reinforcement, you know.
One more question. The software React structure.
Yes.
Do you have an idea?
In fact, React structure, it's more that we have a lot of robot users who know it for 20 years, and like me. And so if you ask me, should I change something? I say, no, it's fine. But compared to the other product of simulation, like mechanical, CFD, it don't look like an Autodesk product. So it was to build the future RSA, a proof of concept, or how we can change the graphic interface to be more friendly and more Autodesk based. Yeah, it's a mix between Revit and AutoCAD, because we love AutoCAD too. But
Finally, it's the same program, the same software, I guess, right?
No, because Revit is to do drawing mainly.
I'm talking about RSA and React.
Yeah, it's the kernel. It's the same. Yeah, but after you work on the graphic UE, but after we will work on the kernel. But at first, we have worked on the graphic interface, but it's a long-term project because there is a lot of line code in robots. So, Benoit, you have a question? Okay, so thank you everyone.